Okay, so we'll start. So now in the last class, we calculated the input impedance of current series feedback configuration, and we saw that the input impedance increases by a factor equal to 1 plus A beta. Now we'll have to solve for the output impedance. So how do we do the output impedance? So we short the input, right? We short the input, and then we give a small voltage here at the output. We give a small voltage here at the output, and then we find out what is the current I naught due to this voltage V naught, right? Okay. So therefore here I can write this current I naught is equal to the sum of the current flowing through R naught plus the current AVI, right? So therefore I can write I naught is the current that is flowing through R naught plus A times Vi. So what's the current that is flowing through R naught? Voltage across R naught divided by R naught is the current that is flowing through R naught. So what's this voltage across R naught? It's nothing but V naught, right? So the voltage across R naught is nothing but V naught. So therefore, I can write this current as V naught by R naught plus A times Vi. But what is Vi equal to? Now since Vs is equal to 0, here you shorted the input. Vs is equal to 0. So therefore, Vi will be equal to minus Vf. Right? So I can write I naught is equal to minus V naught by R naught plus A times minus Vf. But what's Vf equal to? So we know from this that Vf is equal to beta I naught, right? So Vf here is equal to beta I naught. So therefore I can write I naught is equal to V naught by R naught plus A times minus beta I naught. Now rearranging this equation, I can write I naught into 1 plus A beta is equal to V naught by R naught. So rearranging the equation again, I get I naught by V naught, which is nothing but ROF, to be equal to R naught into 1 plus A beta. So here again you can see that the output impedance increases by a factor equal to 1 plus A beta. Okay. So now we are left with current shunt feedback, right? So can you try to draw the circuit yourself now? So what kind of an amplifier does a current shunt feedback require? When I say current shunt, the output is current, right? And then you're feeding back in shunt to the input, which means you're feeding back what? Current or voltage?
Current.
Sorry?
Current.
Current. So therefore the output is current. The input is also a current, which means you require a current amplifier, right? Current shunt feedback is given to a current amplifier. Can you try to draw the circuit yourself? Okay, let me draw the circuit now. All of you can verify if you have drawn correctly or not. Okay, first we'll draw a current amplifier. So you have an input current IS that will basically flow through the input impedance of the open loop amplifier. So let's call this current as II. Okay. So now this current, input current, has to be amplified A times. So the output current will now be A times II ideally. And here you will have the output impedance coming in parallel, right? Because it's a current source, you have the output impedance coming in parallel. Now this forms the open loop amplifier. So ideally for this entire current II to flow through the output, you will have to close this loop. You will have to short this loop so that this entire current AII flows through the output. So this is a ideal current amplifier basically. I mean, this is a current amplifier basically, right? So now you'll have to provide feedback to it. So in order to provide the feedback, what do? You have to feed a part of the output current back to the input. So now let me draw the feedback loop. So I take the entire current now to the feedback path, but I'll have to feed only a part of the output current back to the input. So now this will be equal to I naught. So if the feedback factor is beta, so then this will be beta times I naught, right? So this will be beta times I naught. So this has to be fed back to the input. Now this is the feedback path basically. You can see that in all the cases, you can see that I've taken the feedback path ideal, right? So the feedback doesn't have any resistors. So the feedback path is ideal. So with an ideal feedback path, we are deriving the input and the output impedances of the closed loop. So now this is, since this is current, this has to be definitely fed back in shunt. So now this will be your feedback current IF. So now this follows IS is equal to IF plus II. So you know that IF is equal to beta times I naught. Okay. And I naught is equal to A times II. Is this clear to all of you? Any doubts here? Any doubts? Okay, if this is clear, then can you go ahead and find the closed loop input impedance and output impedance? What do you expect the input and the output impedance to be? So will that increase by 1 plus A beta or decrease by 1 plus A beta? What do you think about the input impedance?
Decreases.
It decreases, right? Because the feedback is given as shunt. So therefore, the input impedance decreases. What about the output impedance?
Increases.
Increases. Correct. So can you solve for it? I'll give you some time. Solve for the input impedance and the output impedance. So RIF, I'm not solving, I'm just writing the representations. So RIF will be the input impedance with feedback. So this will be given by VI, where VI is the voltage across RI, right? Excuse me. Okay, good. So you can verify. And for those who are not able to solve, we'll solve it now, okay? So RIF is equal to VI by IS, right? So this can be written as VI can be written as II RI divided by IS. So IS is nothing but IF plus II. Correct? So now again, we can write IF is equal to beta I naught. So here it will be beta I naught plus II. So I naught is again A times II, right? So II Ri divided by A beta II plus II. So therefore, Vi by Is is equal to, now you take II and cancel it. So you will get that as, this is RIF. Is this clear? So now we'll have to find out the output impedance. So what do? You first open circuit the current source, right? You first open circuit the current source, and then here you give a small voltage V naught. Here you give a small voltage V naught, and then find out the change in the current due to the small voltage V naught, right? Okay. So now I can write this current I naught is equal to the current through R naught plus AII. The current through R naught is nothing but the voltage across R naught divided by I naught. So therefore, this is equal to V naught by R naught plus AII, right? But II is equal to minus IF. Why? Because IS is equal to 0. Therefore, II will be equal to minus IF. Therefore, I can write I naught is equal to V naught by R naught minus A times IF. But we know that IF is equal to beta I naught. So therefore, I can write I naught is equal to V naught by R naught minus A beta I naught. So rearranging this equation, I can write I naught into 1 plus A beta is equal to V naught by R naught. In other words, V naught by R naught is equal to R naught into 1 plus A beta, which is nothing but ROF, right? So therefore, here what happens? The input impedance RIF, it decreases by a factor 1 plus A beta, while the output impedance ROF increases by a factor 1 plus A beta. Is this clear to all of you? So now we have finished the derivation for all the 4 configurations, assuming an ideal feedback path, right? As in the feedback path does not have input impedance or output impedance, and it's ideal basically, right? I'll give you some time. Please go through all 4 and then let me know if you have any doubts. Okay, so now we'll see what happens. See, generally any amplifier, when you feedback a part of the output to the input, it will not have an ideal feedback path, right? So what happens when we encounter a non-ideal feedback path? So it looks something like this. Let's consider a voltage series feedback first. So in voltage series feedback, basically we'll have an voltage source which is Vs, right? And this will have some resistance, source resistance Rs, that we conveniently ignored earlier, right? And then you will have an voltage amplifier where this is Ri, and the voltage across this, let's call it Vi, will get amplified A times, and this amplifier will have R0. So this is the voltage amplifier basically. And then you take the output voltage across some load RL. Correct? Now, you are going to feedback a part of this output voltage. So now here in the last circuit, so far whatever we have considered, we have taken an ideal case wherein this is open circuit, right? So the entire voltage is available here. But then you will have some resistance here. Say, let me call this RFI. Okay. So the voltage across this now will be amplified. So let's say beta times, let's call this Vx. So now this will be Vx. Now this feedback path will also have input and output resistance, just like I have written here. Okay, this RFI is not the one that we derived. Okay, let me change the naming so that you don't get confused. Okay, let me just take it as Rx. So this will have some output impedance, say Ry. Okay, so now this will be fed back to the amplifier. So now this is a practical case, right? So this is a practical case. And in all problems, we'll be asked to find out what is the input impedance with feedback in such cases where the feedback path is not ideal. So let me go back. See, here in this case, the feedback path is ideal. You don't have any resistors here. Similarly, even here. Even here. See, you do not have any resistors there. We have taken an ideal feedback path. But practically, you will not have an ideal feedback path. You will have resistors here, here. So then, in such a case, we simply cannot apply this formula to find out the input-output impedances, right? Ri into 1 plus A beta, because the feedback path is not ideal. So we derived this condition by assuming the feedback path is ideal. Here we assume that our feedback path is ideal, right? So this, under the assumption that our feedback path is ideal. Even this. So here ROF will be R0 divided by 1 plus A beta. So even this is under the assumption that the feedback path is ideal. Now in this case, we cannot apply the same formula. So now what do we do in such cases? We shift all the non-idealities that is present here in the feedback path onto the amplifier part, because it's easier to handle these non-idealities in the amplifier than in the feedback path. Okay, so we try to shift all these non-idealities that are present here in the feedback path to the amplifier portion here, because it's easier to handle this in the amplifier than in the feedback path. So how do we do that? You have a resistor Ry here. So you just simply take this in the same path. You simply take this in the same path and you shift it here. Okay. So that is, we'll have an Ry here instead of an here. We'll put it in the amplifier so that we can handle it easily in the case of an amplifier. That is, we'll put the Ry here. We'll take this and then put it on the amplifier so that now this part of the feedback becomes ideal, right? Similarly, we disconnect this portion. So this resistance Rx, as you see, is connected between these 2 points, right? So this resistance Rx that you see is connected between these 2 points. So therefore you disconnect it here and then you connect your Rx here. Basically, you're shifting all the non-idealities onto the amplifier. So now how does this amplifier look like? This amplifier will now look something like this, right? So you have Vs here, you have Vs here, you have Rs, you have Ri, you also have Rx, Ry here that you have shifted from the feedback to the amplifier. So this is Vs, right? So then here you will have A times Vi and then R naught. Then you will have RL here. This is RL. This is R naught. So here you will also have Rx that you have shifted from the feedback path onto the amplifier. Now, so you will take this voltage present between these two here, because this resistor that was here, we've already shifted it back to the amplifier here. So therefore now this will be an open circuit. Now this will be an open circuit. And then now you will have beta Vx here, right? So there's no resistor because you have already shifted this resistor here. And then your feedback path now looks like an ideal one. Okay. Do you understand this? So basically whatever loading is there in the feedback path, we try to shift all that onto the amplifier part because it's easier for us to handle these non-idealities in an amplifier than in the feedback portion. So now, since you have an ideal feedback path here, you can easily apply this formula RIF is equal to Ri by 1 plus A beta and ROF is equal to R naught by 1 plus A beta, and you can say AF is equal to A by 1 plus A beta in order to calculate the input, output and the gain with feedback, because you have an ideal feedback path here. Clear? If the feedback path itself is not ideal, then you cannot apply these formulas in order to calculate the input, output and the gain with feedback. Is this very important? I hope this is clear to all of you. Please take some time and note this down. So I have explained this with respect to the voltage series feedback, but then this applies to all feedback circuits. So this is basically a feedback path, right? So feedback path is an attenuator, correct? Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So in feedback path, you're feeding a portion of the output back to the input, where beta here is actually less than 1. This is very similar to this amplifier, no, except that here A is very much greater than 1, while B is very much less than 1. Correct? Just like any amplifier will have input impedance and output impedance, the attenuators also will have input impedance and output impedance. But then when we try to find out that in the earlier cases, we took an ideal feedback path. We took an ideal feedback path where the input impedance of this was infinite and the output impedance of this was 0. In the earlier cases where we used to find the input and output impedances in the feedback path. But actually in any circuit, it will not be ideal. The attenuators will not be ideal. Definitely it will have some input impedance and output impedance, which we didn't consider earlier, right? But if we have to consider this, definitely we have to consider. So then we do not want to handle this as a part of the feedback path because it's difficult, right? So we try to push all this onto the amplifier side and try to make the feedback path ideal because it's difficult. It's easier to handle this that way. Okay, I think I'll just repeat this again. So we did 4 types of feedback paths, right? So in all these feedback paths, feedback amplifiers, we took the feedback paths to be ideal. As in, here, we took this as infinite input impedance, okay, and 0 output impedance, right? So this basically an voltage attenuator. An voltage attenuator ideally has infinite input impedance and 0 output impedance, just like voltage amplifier, right? Similarly, so now this will take a current attenuator. So in this case, a current attenuator, basically this will have 0 input impedance, correct? So this will have 0 input impedance and infinite output impedance. So there's no R here in parallel with it, right? So we took a very ideal case. But just like amplifiers, the attenuators will also have input and output impedances. But if we consider them, then we cannot apply these formulas in order to get the input and the output impedances with feedback, because we have derived it assuming the feedback path is ideal. The feedback path will have, in this case, it will have 0 input impedance and infinite output impedance. So in ideal case, this will hold good. But actually, the feedback attenuators will also have input impedance and output impedances. So how do we handle that? So what we do is, we just push it onto the amplifier part. We just push this onto the amplifier part because it's easier to handle it in an amplifier than in an attenuator. And so therefore we make this feedback path ideal now. So it's easier to calculate the input output impedances and gain with feedback. So I think it'll be more clear when we solve a couple of problems. But for now, at least you should know that the feedback path is not ideal. It'll definitely have some input output impedances. And it's not easier to handle it in the feedback path. Therefore, we're pushing all that to the amplifier side.